The governor allowed the people to celebrate Santa Maria Comelin. She should take account on what took place December 2002. Will history repeat itself? Angel Pete Quintanilla Castro writing in, open all the spirit and faith regardless of what religion. It's the reason why we're suffering this virus. God said, if you deny me, I will deny you. Look at what happened when they took out the holiday from Santa Maria Comelin. Plenty other comments. We'll just kind of run them through here. Chris writes, this Saturday at Cathedral will be interesting. Will the church and attendees be cited? Melanie writes, exactly like Ross. Do you open up another outlet to gather or you shut everything down? Debbie Davis from Bardstown, Kentucky writes, if you can go gather at stores, you should be able to attend church with conditions. Have more services to accommodate the people that want to go. Setting in place for families and temperature checks at the door like at medical facilities. Okay. Evelyn writes, Governor Lou needs the economy to move forward so Gov Guam can take the money from these businesses. Gov Guam has no money in the general funds, too much used for pay raise. Chamarita Regis writes in here, our churches do not go out and protest. Instead, we pray for them to make better decisions. Why are they putting money over religion? Article 13 doesn't have money in it. Article 13 has religion. Rosemary writes, once the church is open, once the church is open, which they should, this will start those businesses which are closed to open. As long as they follow safety protocols, it's now up to consumers to decide to patronize them or not. Let's bring on Polly Mike, of course, from the church here in our KUAM News Zoom room, where, Polly, you're the first guest in, but I want to let you know that the sanitizing duendes, we're in there wiping everything down with the Clorox wipes, so you're good. Good morning, Paulie.
Good morning, Chris, Sabrina, Jason.
He's got his wipes, too. Nice. Well, you guys are some little troublemakers.
We've been called worse. We've been called worse.
Right, and let's just talk about this decision. I mean, it kind of rapidly evolved. You know, we had Father Paul on the show earlier, and we had a few different religious leaders from the island. We had Pastor Paul from St. Paul, and then Pastor Joe from Calvary. And, you know, interestingly, obviously there are differences with a lot of our religions on Guam, but they were on the same page. And that page was churches, spiritual services are essential. And they had all also said that they were anticipating that the churches would be allowed to open when the businesses like the tattoo parlors and the pet grooming were allowed to open. But that didn't happen. And they sounded very frustrated. So we were thinking, wow, are they going to just decide to do the masses on their own and obey all the protocols? And it looks like that's what happened. So what was kind of like the straw, Polly Mike, that broke the church's back, and you guys said, no, we're going to do the masses?
Actually, I think it was your interview with the governor or with Dr. Nguyen, and many of us were listening on to that interview. So thank you very much. And when you said something about, I'm going to go to get my haircut, which I did. I'm going to go get my nails done, get a tattoo, but I can't go to church. And it showed and expressed the inequity and the unfair treatment that faith-based organizations and houses of worships were treated. Whether or not it was the governor's intent, I'm not putting finger or pointing blame to her, but I think it is something that is very evident in her executive orders, how it was very not including of us. And I thought that since the beginning of this, the Archdiocese has always been a partner with the government. We were part of the pandemic plan. We were part of the response team. We had our own task force. We had our own hotline. Our parishes had protocols, mitigation plans before anyone else had them. We were following CDC guidelines. We were following the Thomistic Institute, which is a branch of the church that helps us with these guidelines during COVID. I mean, we were doing everything possible, Chris. And when she allowed us to open up in Picor 2, we operated out of a 50% capacity. We managed to do that. And there were some parishes that didn't open because, again, pastors who are able to have the resources, the people, the manpower to do it, we opened up. But there are pastors that don't have those resources and weren't able to open up. So I think we're very responsible. I think we're very knowledgeable at this point. I think we're better trained. We're better aware. We know how to deal with this. And if there is someone to test it positive, we will shut down the church sanitize, do contact tracing, and then open up again. But this constant lockdown, and every week to week, I can imagine, the people and what we go through, even as priests. Gosh, we had to look forward to Friday again. What is it going to be this time? And will she include us in her executive order, or will she exclude us? So it's that on the edge, feeling what's going to happen next. And I know she doesn't have all the answers, but I think we have enough answers to be able to say, let's work together. And I know that's her intent, but it doesn't seem like that's been the practice.
But Paulie, Mike, as soon as the Archdiocese of Agana issued the press release, we reached out to Adelup for a response. And the response we got was that churches have unfortunately represented a significant portion of COVID-19 clusters identified through contact tracing.
And I think Father Paul said it best yesterday. Show us. We want to see it. We want to be able to help. Tell us which church. In fact, we've had this discussion with public health that if any of our churches contacted COVID and positive members, tell us which church so that we can then deal with that church and be able to deal with the pastor to ensure maybe he doesn't have the help, doesn't have the resources, whatever it may be. But to this point, we have not heard anything from public health about any of our churches. We did hear from the beginning back in March, April, that one of our non-Catholic churches contacted COVID. They shut down, or maybe they didn't. I'm not sure. Public health went in there. They did what they did, and I know the governor praised the church for what they've done.
Right. She made them COVID heroes.
Yes. COVID heroes for a church that contacted positive, and here we are trying to work with the government.
You guys are like the COVID villains.
Go figure, Chris.
I can't understand it. Well, you can't. So
at the end of the day, you have no idea what the governor's office is talking about with these church COVID clusters.
I have no idea. In fact, I know for a fact, I'm on the task force. We have no church yet have come forward. Our pastors have informed us. None of them is, involved in any of that. And so I'm very confident that it's not one of our churches.
Okay. Well, we've made the ask also. Yeah. Officially after we got this release. We want to see this list of church clusters. So if we get it, we'll send it to you. If you get something, please let us know.
Paulie, Mike,
definitely.
I know that you said you don't want to point fingers. You don't want to blame. But I really feel like the relationship between the governor and maybe even the administration and the churches, it's become adversarial. You guys put out a press release.
That's not our intent.
I know, and I know. Yeah, and I just can't wrap my mind around how adversarial it is. It's like you guys come out with a release saying, "Hey, we're going to do the masses. We're going to do them the right way, like the businesses are doing," and then they come out with a release saying, "Oh no, you guys are super spreaders." It's crazy. I just like this tit for tat. I mean,
were you guys given any sort of inclination that the churches might reopen this weekend? You hadn't heard anything along those lines?
We heard the lieutenant governor and another media that said basically, yeah, we're going to consider that. I know we were told it's a discussion. The governor herself told me in an email that it's certainly in her mind and in her heart, and they'll be discussing it. So I'm confident that she will. Again, tell us, show us, examples of what we can do to help. That's what we're here for. We even volunteered to be part of contact tracing training so that I know public health is overwhelmed and inundated with contact tracing. Train us, train the Archdiocese. We will then take care of tracing our churches and our schools. That's what we're here for.
Right. What was the response when you asked?
They were very welcome of it. We're just waiting for them to train us. So I know they're, again, overwhelmed with so much things, and they probably don't have the people to train us or even the time to train us.
You know what's interesting too, Paulie, is I'm pretty sure if we were having mass, you would be able to pull some of these cabinet members by the ear. When you see them, get over here. You know what? But the flock is scattered, right? So you guys don't necessarily have, and to me, I just can't wrap my mind around, like, we're an island. I mean, high 90% Catholic, and you guys don't have an inn. with this administration.
And well, in the beginning, Chris, I thought that we did. I thought that that's why they invited us to be part of the economic, the response plan, was because we have 26 churches, which is in all the villages, and 14 Catholic schools. And we represent a large community. And that's why they thought, oh, we better have the archdiocese involved, because then they can help with whatever network that we have already in existence. And that's what it was. It was a partnership, and to be able to use our network in the archdiocese to be able to get the word out about COVID.
Did you say the church has a seat at the table with the economic recovery group panel of advisors?
We were not a seat at the table of the group here, but we were part of the pandemic response team, which happened back in February. And that included the group of the economic group. We were part of the social working group. We were part of the, those that would do counseling. And even as far as we talked about funerals. Remember the beginning, if you were COVID and you died of COVID, CDC's recommendation was you were cremated 24 hours.
Right.
Guess what? That has changed.
Totally. Yeah.
And we weren't informed that has changed.
Yeah.
And here we are.
We weren't
actually respond to barriers.
Paulie, Mike, sorry to interrupt, but we actually informed public health about that protocol, because I did a story over here. I was driving by St. Augustine Funeral Home, and I was like, Lanny, what the heck? There was a quarantine bus there, and they were busing people down to this funeral. And there was also, before that, a body of someone who died of COVID came into Guam from Hawaii. So it was actually that story that I did. And when calling public health, they were like, oh, this is wrong. There's no way this can happen. Oh, my God, da-da-da-da. And then it was like, oh, wait, we checked the website. They changed the protocol.
You know what bothers me, too, is that when the governor says she does not have the authority to shut down the airport, but she has the authority to shut down churches. I believe that, again, we can work together in this, and it doesn't have to come to that. But again, Archbishop was very clear about his mandate in the letter to open our churches this weekend, and that's what we pastors intend to do.
What are you guys going to do if you see public health enforcers or GPD? I mean, I don't know if I could visualize that, but what are you guys going to do if you see police officers or whoever trying to shut down one of the services?
If they come in, we invite them to come in. They probably will be part of the worship and probably pray first, and then do what they have to do as a civic officer or duty. But they have to do what they have to do, and we will have to do what we have to do. So they cite us. We will then deal with that when it comes to.
There's a comment here from Maggie. I think the logic is more tattooing and hair salons are one-on-one in a space, unlike congregations where lots of people are closely together, including elderly. I don't see it as adversarial.
Yeah.
And then, Paulie, if we could, because we have Ed Byrne, the administration director, coming on, we want to ask him about this bereavement fund thing. But how would you respond to the trouble spots in a mass, right? And they talk about the receiving of the sacrament, doing the communion. There's a potential risk of the spread. We talk about the congregating of the elderly and other people. How would you guys address those concerns, and how are you going to address those concerns when you resume the indoor masses this weekend?
Our protocols already address that, Chris, back since March. So when we give communion, for example, ministers, we try to reduce the number of ministers. So most like in our parish, only priests and deacons now give out communion, so that we reduce that number of people giving out communion. We sanitize almost after every distribution of communion. So whether it be through the mouth or through the tongue, the Thomistic Institute, which are made up of doctors and clergymen and women who have been part of this pandemic response, they've indicated in their studies that it's almost equal measures between giving out communion through the tongue and through the hand. It is just a matter of the touch or the likelihood of touching your face, and that's why they constantly ask of us that when we engage with people that we wear our masks. The priests are not, they're not required to wear a mask in the sanctuary because they're going to be the only ones up there, and they are like more than 20 feet away from everyone else. But even at that, we've chosen to go ahead and go the more stricter route and have us wear masks. Our choirs, we now just have two people, a musician and a cantor that will be there only, no full choirs anymore. We have roped off our areas of seating so that it's more than 6 feet apart. Communion line is the same way. Sanitization before and after every mass. So our mitigation plan is in place. It's not perfect, but we continue to review it. In fact, today, Father Paul is leading the commission today at 2:00 to be able to review the protocols once again before Friday's clergy meeting.
Polly Mike, do you have any information on this protest that's happening this afternoon?
I only have a text message that's been, I guess, a forward and as a forward and a forward. But I believe they're going to continue to meet at 4:30 at the ITC intersection. I was told that it was only going to be, that really is a prayer protest. They wanted to continue to pray for the governor, pray for the administration, pray for an end to the pandemic. They were not happy with the governor's information released last night, and that's why they continue to move forward with the protest.
Such rebels praying. We got to take to the streets to pray, to send a message to our government that praying and church is essential. What world is this? What world is this? Sorry, Polly Mike. So, we saw in the first wave when they opened and they allowed for the masses, I know we had Father Paul come on and he had said, he wasn't sure that people would come out, the faithful would come out because of the risk, right? Fast forward to now, we're in this second wave, positives everywhere, numbers are high. You've opened the church. You will this weekend. Will they come?
Yes.
All right, Polly Mike. Get us a schedule of masses. Is there one?
Well, Saturday, 5 p.m. at Tamuini Church, of course, and of course 6, 9, 11, and 5 on Sunday.
Right on. Thank you, Polly Mike.
Thanks,
Great
Father
talk.
Mike.
God bless you both.
God bless you.
Take care.
Thank you.
That's that. Wash your hands. 7:15. But yeah, it's kind of crazy that the posture now is the governor is put in this position where she has to come out and actually say no, I support the churches, which it's like, wow.
What's really interesting is that we've interviewed Polly Mike on a number of occasions on this and our other shows over the years, and